Hello everybody, I am Jeffrey Hauser. Today I'm going to talk about Angular and some approaches to pop open new windows. First, I'm going to go into our workflow and examine that. So a typical scenario, a workflow for an Angular application, one that requires a login and authentication, is for the app to load, check to see if the user is logged in, often through a JWT or other sort of login token. Um, Not there, redirects to the login service, and often your login service will integrate with some third party. So we're going to redirect to an identity provider. The identity provider is going to do whatever it needs to do to authenticate that user. It's going to redirect back to our login service, which will validate the user has access, pass a token back to the UI, and then the user is allowed to use your application. There is a potential problem with this workflow. In that case, what if the user is using the application, leaves it open overnight, so they're logged in, they come back the next morning, their token has expired. They make changes, and whammo, they can't save them because their login token is expired. So there's a handful of different ways to address this. I'm actually going to go over one of them in this session and another. We want to follow the same workflow, but we want to do so without actually reloading that application. So we can either do that login flow inside an iframe, if that's allowed, or we can do it over a opening a new window or a new tab. This section will show you how to deal with a new tab. Okay, I'm sitting at code now. What I've done is I've created a brand new Angular project. And first thing I'm going to do is create two new components. One for relogging in and one for home. I'm going to, I use the Angular CLI to do that. I already created an empty project. I'm going to delete everything in this main app component and add the router outlet. Now let's create our two routes. So one is going to be for relogging in. There we go. And one will be our main component. And that should do that. So let's go to our home screen, and I'm going to add just a button here. Or open new tab. Open new tab. And I'm going to go ahead and create this function inside the home component. Now, what this function is going to do is open a new tab. And using our business logic, our use case, this new tab would redirect to our login service, our authentication service, which would redirect to the SSO identity provider, or however the SSO works, collect that user's login information, and redirect back to our app. And then we're going to want to close this new window, which will put us back to our app without having to force a reload to the app. So for the purposes of this, I'm going to focus on opening the new tab, and I'm not going to focus on the whole integration with an identity provider. Window.open relogin. And that should open the new tab. Give it return value so our linter stops complaining. And that's all that's happening here. So in a new tab, it's opening up our relogin screen. Let's go look at our relogin screen. So let's do relogin success, and we'll add a button back to your app. on back to app. So in here, gonna put this back to app button, and this is just going to do a window.close. So once again, main faults I see with this approach, I discussed this a little when I was dealing with this in iframe, is by accessing window directly, we're reaching out of the Angular application almost a step above it to do some window management, which I consider this less than ideal because it breaks the encapsulation of having an Angular app. But there didn't seem to be an easier way to do it, and it fit our use case. Now, see, do I have the app running? I do not have the app running. So let's do ng-serve to load up our new app. Then we'll jump over to the browser once this is up and running and see this work. So boom, reload, open new tab. You saw my previous example already in the browser. So we open new tab. That's in our imaginary workflow that authenticated the user using some external or remote application, and it comes back to our application and we close it, and now we're back at our main application. Data untouched, whatever we've edited since before we logged in can now be saved or updated properly without losing data. So really, this approach is designed for smooth implementation for the users. So this one is actually super simple to implement, and it shows you how we can go ahead and handle new tabs and create new tabs within the context of an Angular application. So we reach out of the Angular app to access window, open it, calling whatever route we want to open, and then that's going to come back to the Angular application somehow inside this new app after we redirect away and do whatever we need to do. Set that login cookie, probably a JWT token. That's redundant, just probably a JWT. And then the user's back in the app, and we close this new window that's open, and then the user can continue to use the app without losing data as if nothing had ever happened to their token and their session had not logged out.